Hey everyone, welcome back to Drive Protected. My name is Eric, and in today's episode we're going to talk about the 3 P's to having a successful paint protection film installation. We got this GMC Sierra Denali Ultimate here. We're doing full front end paint protection film using our Defense Plus paint protection film. And I'm going to install paint protection film on the fender. And while I do that, I'm going to talk about the 3 P's to a successful installation. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first P for when you're doing a paint protection film installation is prep. So I've already wrapped this fender, but I wasn't happy with it because there were some adhesive lines and some distortion in the film that I didn't think looked very good. And with it being a black vehicle, I just wanted to make sure that none of that was there. So we're gonna re-prep this fender. I don't have to clay bar it, but clay bar is definitely part of the prep process. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 90% isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free glass drying towel or a glass cleaning towel, and I'm just going to wipe the fender down, and I'm going to be really thorough with it, especially around all of my edges. Seeing as I had already said that this fender was already wrapped, I need to make sure that there's no adhesive that's left behind from the previous PPF that was on there. So as you can see, I'm just being super thorough to make sure that this edge is properly prepped. So when you're prepping, I always start by prepping the outer edges of the panel first, and then I finish off with doing the rest of the panel. Another reason you want to really focus on doing lots of prep before you start your installation is any wax or grease or coating or anything that's on the paint, you want that removed before you actually start your installation. With failure to do so is going to result in a very improper bond between the actual paint protection film and the panel. So don't skimp out when you're prepping. When you're prepping, you want to go above and beyond, and you want to make sure that that panel is properly prepped everywhere. That way when you start your installation, you're confident that there's going to be a proper bond between the film and the vehicle. So the second P, patience. So when you're doing your paint protection film installation, you don't want to rush yourself. Take your time. As you get more and more experience as a PPF installer, you will just naturally be able to install quicker while having a good quality installation, you hope. So when you're doing your installs, I'm just going to kind of talk my way through this fender install, for example. I know I got the film on here. It's not sliding down. I got lots of slip solution. I got all the rest of I got my slip and my tack solution full. They're right by me. I don't have to rush across the workstation to go and get my solution because I'm not prepared. That's actually another one, preparedness. We'll do a video on that a different day. But, you know, you don't want to rush yourself. Take your time and you'll get it done right. So here's a prime example of be patient and take your time. So right now I have to stretch from the back of the fender all the way to the front just to get this to line up. Whereas if I were to just take and just stretch this into place and tack it down without thinking about my solution situation here underneath the film and just rushing it, I'm going to end up with all kinds of stretch marks and adhesive lines over here, which you don't want. So in fact, right over here, you can see how the film is starting to pull itself back. That's because that's a sticking point. So I need to pull the film back a little bit, and I need to get that to lay down flat. So I'm gonna add a bit more slip solution there. I'm also gonna add a bunch more behind the film over here. Now, just massaging the air out from underneath the film. This is going to help get the film to lay down flat as well too. It's going to take a lot of tension off the film. This is something you have to be patient with when you're doing this. So now I can take my tack solution, I can spray some tack over there, and then with one hand I'm going to push from the back while lining everything up over here, and I'm just going to hold that in place. Right where that needs to be, and that's good. And I got proper alignment all the way along there, which is good. You also want to be patient when you're squeegeeing those fingers down as well too. All right, the third P to a successful PPF installation, post-heating. I got my heat gun here. I got my glass drying towel. It's quite wet. This post-heating, arguably outside of the prep, and patience, super important step. When you're done a PPF installation, you cannot let vehicles go out the door without making sure that your edges are sealed off and dried and not lifting. Post-heating takes, I don't know, 5 minutes per panel, not even, that's being generous. And it's something that you can do as an insurance policy to make sure that when your work goes out the door, it's not coming back in to be redone. Nothing looks worse on a vehicle than lifting paint protection film. In fact, we're even going to put some photos in here of some photos I got sent by a viewer of the channel who had their PPF installed and it's just lifting everywhere. So I'm going to insert some photos in here to kind of show you what should not be happening and why post-heating could have prevented that. So let's get into it. Heat gun on high, wet rag. So all I do, back and forth, heat the film up, and I come along just with my finger in the rag. And I just go back and forth, adding more and more pressure to make sure that the film is properly dried and not going to lift. Now the big thing when you're doing post-heating with a heat gun, you always want to keep the heat gun moving. You never want to have it stuck in the same spot. You could end up burning the film. And when you're doing your post-heating, you only go around the edges. There's no point in doing the rest of the panel, as the slip solution that's in the adhesive, as it starts to dry out, it's automatically going to bond itself to the panel. So the reason you're just doing the edges is just so that way your edges are down and there's no potential point of entry for anything to lift the film up. And there we go. Post-heating is done. That took me all of, 3 minutes to post-heat this fender. It doesn't take long, and it's the best way that you can possibly ensure that your PPF installs look the best they possibly can before your customer picks it up and takes them home. So, to kind of recap this video, top 3 Ps for a successful PPF installation: prep, patience, and post-heating. So when you're installing paint protection film, keep those 3 in the back of your mind and you're going to be a super successful PPF installer. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more PPF content.